She was falling apart in silence until her son did something that changed everything. What could a 12-year-old possibly do to save his mother from breaking? The sky was a dull shade of gray that morning. A slow drizzle tapped against the kitchen window. I stood at the sink, hands submerged in cold water, scrubbing a plate I had already cleaned twice. I could feel the heaviness in my chest again. That familiar pressure, tightening around my ribs like an invisible rope. The kind that made it hard to breathe, hard to think. The clock on the wall ticked louder than usual.
Tick, tock.
Each second pulling me deeper into my thoughts. Unpaid bills sat unopened on the counter. The fridge hummed softly, almost mockingly, nearly empty except for half a loaf of bread and an old jar of jam. My fingers trembled, not from the cold water, but from the weight of it all. The loneliness, the fear of not being enough. I had not told anyone how bad things had gotten. Not my sister, not my friends, not even my 12-year-old son, Liam. He thought I was strong. I wanted to keep it that way. But that morning, something broke. A small snap inside me, as if a string had finally frayed beyond repair. I dropped the plate. It shattered on the floor, shards scattering across the tiles. I stared at it, frozen, unable to move, unable to even cry. Liam rushed in, still in his pajamas. His hair stuck up in every direction, his eyes wide with concern. "Mom," he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Are you okay?" I opened my mouth to lie, to say I was fine, but nothing came out. Instead, I dropped to my knees. I pressed my palms against the floor, among the broken pieces. And I wept, silent at first, then loud, choking sobs that felt like they came from somewhere deep inside my soul. Liam knelt beside me.
He did not speak.
He did not try to fix it. He just wrapped his small arms around my shoulders. His grip was warm, steady,
real.
In that moment, something shifted. Not in the world outside, but inside me. I felt seen, held, safe. He stood up, wiped his face with his sleeve, and walked to the cupboard. He pulled out a broom. "Let me clean this, Mom," he said. "You go sit down." I watched him carefully sweep up the broken pieces. He moved slowly, cautiously, like he understood how fragile everything was, not just the glass, but me. And then he did something that caught me completely off guard. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small, wrinkled envelope. It had my name on it, in his handwriting. "Open it," he said, his eyes full of something I could not place. Maybe hope, maybe fear. Inside was a drawing, a picture of our tiny house, the two of us standing outside it. Above it, written in shaky letters, were the words, "You are not alone, Mom." My throat tightened. I clutched the paper to my chest like it was a lifeline. And for the first time in weeks, I believed it. I stood there, still kneeling on the floor, holding the paper like it was made of gold. Tears blurred the edges of the drawing, but I could still see us, me and Liam, smiling under a crooked sun. I did not know he noticed. How broken I had felt, how hard I was trying to pretend. But he had. Liam sat across from me, legs crossed, broom resting by his side. He looked so calm, so steady for someone so small. "I was saving it for your birthday," he said quietly. "But I thought maybe you needed it now." My heart cracked open in a different way this time. Not from pain, but from the overwhelming weight of love. I reached out and took his hand. It was small and warm, fingers curled around mine like they belonged there. "Thank you," I whispered. Not just for the drawing, not just for the broom, but for seeing me when I was invisible to everyone else. He leaned his head against my shoulder. And for a moment, we just stayed like that. No words. No pretending. Just a mother and her son. I had been so focused on protecting him from my sadness. I had not realized he had been protecting me too. That afternoon, I finally picked up the phone. I called my sister. I told her the truth. Not all of it, but enough. And when I hung up, Liam was in the living room drawing again. I watched him from the doorway, his brow furrowed in concentration, crayons scattered everywhere. He looked up and grinned. "I am making a new one," he said. For the fridge. So you never forget. I smiled, the kind that made my cheeks ache. And for the first time in a long time, I did not feel like I was drowning. Because even when the world had turned cold, my son had become my anchor, my quiet strength, my reminder that love does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers through the smallest hands and saves you when you need it most. That evening, the rain finally stopped. The clouds drifted apart, revealing streaks of fading gold in the sky. Everything outside looked washed, renewed. And somehow so did I. I made dinner with Liam by my side. Simple food. Nothing fancy. But it tasted like peace. We laughed over spilled rice. He told me about his school project. I listened, really listened for the first time in weeks. And when I tucked him into bed, he pulled me close. Today was a good day, right, Mom? I nodded, brushing his hair from his eyes. It was a very good day. After he fell asleep, I stood in the hallway for a long time, staring at the drawing on the fridge, the words echoing in my heart. You are not alone. Life was still uncertain. The bills were still there. But so was something else. Hope. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet hope that lives in moments. A broken plate, a child's hug, a hand-drawn sun. I realized healing does not always arrive all at once. Sometimes it comes in pieces. One broom sweep at a time. One small act of love. That night, as I slipped into bed, I did not feel lost anymore. I felt found. By the one person I thought I was protecting, but who, in truth, had saved me instead. And in that stillness, with only the sound of Liam's breathing down the hall, I smiled. Softly. Gratefully. Because love had found a way to hold me together.
Just when I needed it the most.